Danny Talbot, and I'm the head of marketing at Clozd. I'm joined here today by Juan Palma from Nextracker. So Juan, can you tell me a little bit about your role?
Yeah, so at Nextracker, I'm our competitive intelligence lead. Basically, I sit between product marketing, sales engineering, and just to bridge the innovation side of the house and our commercial side.
And can you tell me about what Nextracker does?
So we're in a race all over the world. Energy demand is growing at an incredible pace. Nextracker is at the center of that, right? Trying to keep up with AI demand, data centers, the electrification of everything from cars to your toothbrushes, you can imagine. And we build solar technology that allows solar panels to track the sun. So you get a little bit more juice through the day, 20, 30%. And we want to make sure that we can meet that demand moving forward.
So I'm really curious how win-loss fits into your world at Nextracker.
Sure. So I joined Nextracker about a year ago, and the first thing I learned was how relationship-centric this entire industry was. We are a tech company, but at the end of the day, this is very much built on relationships. Our QBRs, for example, are held on construction sites, not briefing centers or headquarters, right? We are meeting people in the dirt on site because they love that face-to-face mentality of it. And we wanted to make sure that Clozd or win-loss in general, how do we anchor ourselves in that feedback? Just because there wasn't really a great way to do it otherwise in terms of it's not a digital platform. So Clozd came up to mind, and we wanted to explore whether we could do win-loss a different way for our company.
And what is that different way?
Sure. So before that, obviously everybody loves to do in-house kind of win-loss studies, case studies. But with our business, the sales cycles are so long. By the time you learn something, it's too late, right? We're talking 1 to 3 years. And we needed something more agile. We needed something more hard-hitting right at the beginning. And also just get closer to our customers in a different way. So Clozd was going to be able to do that for us.
Okay, so you took your program away from being run in-house to a third party running it for you, and you made sure to make your win-loss program be more agile so that it could move at the same speed as the business.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And how did you get other people to buy in to doing that? And then what hurdles did you encounter?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, the biggest hurdle I had to overcome was a sense of our customers going to talk to people they don't know, right? Strangers, so to speak. And like I said earlier, it's a relationship-based business. And the first thing I did was ask Scott and Hiva, my program managers, if they'd be interested in coming on site, right? The same way our customers and us, we meet in the field, where it was Clozd going to be willing to kind of close that gap. And with a lot of enthusiasm, they said, let's do this, let's go out. And they spent a whole day with us so they could learn our language. And that got everybody comfortable, from our sales to our product folks. They said the fact that they took the time out to craft an experience and relationship with us, and it's showing up in a lot of different ways in our interviews. You could tell our customers are comfortable. They love that Hiva and Scott are speaking our language, and that's taking the program to the next level.
And did you encounter any hurdles, or has it been totally smooth sailing?
The biggest hurdle right now, honestly, has been the turnaround in terms of the volume. As you can imagine, our projects in our business are much larger in size, but lower in count, right? So what that means is on any given quarter, we're only really doing 100 to 200 opportunities, but these are massive. And because they take so long, we have to really curate who we contact and be careful about the cadence and speed that we're contacting customers on a regular basis. But we're managing that. We're aging and making sure we're not over communicating with customers through this program. And Hiva and Scott have educated me in how Clozd manages all that in the back end. So that's the biggest hurdle right now, just volume. But otherwise, the program has been incredibly smooth, transformational. It's done a lot for us.
And it sounds like your program team is working with you to make it work for your needs.
Yeah, all the time. We meet super regularly. These guys are so far on top of it that sometimes it scares me, like how far ahead they're thinking of the program. But ultimately, I think that's what we need on our side. Right off the bat, I told Scott and Hiva, there's no way I was going to be able to do this by myself. I'm a one-man team right now. I have a lot of help from other teams, but the scope of win-loss to me it's not a report. It's not like a one-time analysis. It's a thing you have to incorporate into your DNA. And I'd heard about Clozd a long time ago, was always excited to work with the company, and I've got to say it's beat my expectations.
So what advice would you give to somebody that's thinking about establishing their own win-loss program in an industry like yours that's really relationship-based?
Yeah, it's a tough question. To be honest, there's the fundamental parts to, I think, any successful win-loss program, right? Getting champions, making sure everybody in the business is collaborating and understanding what this is bringing to the table. But at the end of the day, this is still very new to my industry, right? Which is, we call ourselves a tech company, but it's still a construction-based business. And I don't have the great answer for that. Ultimately, staying close to my program managers, staying close to you and the rest of the Clozd team, I think that's going to be the key to success, right? Making sure that we are navigating what needs to be changed, what needs to be adapted. And there's no other company I've worked with that, not even just in win-loss, but in a lot of under-vendor relationships that is as close to what we need as far as next steps. So
absolutely. I think there's often a lot of ambiguity as you're just trying to figure it out and wade through the noise, but it makes sense that you're leaning on the people who it's their area of expertise and they're helping you to navigate the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we saw that when, the Clozd team came out to visit us on site. There were a lot of questions I couldn't have answered without them kind of giving insight. Things like saturation of how many interviews we needed to do versus we felt like we could use the data. And then at the center of this, I think people look from the outside in. It's a cloud experience. They think it's a technology platform. What we've learned is there's so much more to it, right? Having that kind of go-to partnership team behind it that takes it to the next level.
Makes total sense. So Juan, if you were to summarize how this interviewing program has affected your role, what would you say?
Partnering with Clozd has been transformational for Nextracker. It's taught us a new way of anchoring ourselves in customer feedback. Before that, it was tribal knowledge, and I think that's kind of a tricky word because that implies the data and information gets shared, and it wasn't. It was stuck in people's heads. So this has centralized that tribal knowledge and really kind of stuck to that term, and now everybody gets to reference it and use it in their own way, the way it helps them do their job.
I feel like when programs move from being in people's minds and they're anecdotal to being more data driven and there are insights being pushed out frequently, it gives that program so much more muscle.
Yeah, totally. And it's been great seeing people not even super close to what we're doing with Clozd kind of come to me and say, like, I didn't know we were doing this. And they find all these nuggets for parts of their business, like our services side of the business. We're hardware, but there's attached services. And I had a colleague of mine come to me randomly. She's like, hey, have you heard about these interviews that somebody's doing? And there's all kinds of interesting information about how we price, how we get feedback from our customers. Check this out. And I had to tell her, like, hey, that's our Clozd program and I run that. And I'm glad you were able to find it and use it. So it's cool.
That's so cool. How did that person find it?
Our sales organization got subscribed to all the new deals, getting feedback. And, it kind of, if you're not looking for it, sometimes it can get lost. But she happened to be, investigating a little bit and trying to find some data and found it. And she started collecting it all. And she did a whole PowerPoint presentation and summary on her own just to like summarize what it means to the service side of her business. And when she presented to the team, some of them knew about the program and said, oh, hey, this is actually a full-fledged program that Juan is running. You should talk to him. So it was a nice little discovery after it. A couple of drinks and dinner, but anyway.
Well, kudos to you. I think that is somebody finding those insights organically and then feeling strongly enough about them to build a whole PowerPoint presentation speaks to itself. Are there other teams that are also digesting those insights?
Yeah, the greatest surprise recently, the past couple of weeks, has been more and more attention from the executive team on our win-loss program. So, obviously they know we came from the in-house DIY sort of win-loss and trying to do case studies. Now since we started the Clozd program, we're able to report out, metrics and decision drivers, customer sentiment on what they're saying, but also how organized and centralized it all is. They're loving that, they can pull together an account-specific report, right? Maybe a troublesome customer where we're trying to figure out the next steps and plan strategically. They can take win-loss interviews and sort of add some qualitative anecdotes and build the next steps with much more precision.
And given your role, I assume you're also learning about competitors.
Yeah, it's, the competitive topic in our industry is a little touchy, because at the end of the day, our customers do diversify, and that's a normal strategy that they're going to employ, and we understand that. The key is how do we Nextracker become the majority supplier, right? I think that's always a challenge you have to navigate. We are learning a little bit about competitors, not so much with a lot of precision, but more in terms of steps that they're taking to get closer to our customers, new business strategies, and we have to listen to the nuances and really navigate that.
It makes total sense. You want to be competitor aware, not competitor obsessed, and it gives you enough information so that it can help to inform your strategy without being really distracting.
Totally. And one of the things that comes out from the interviews is actually how much our customers want us to get away from being competitor obsessed and focus on the things we do well, right? So obviously as executives and other business functions, they're obsessed with the losing part. But winning and the recipe that we have, the blueprint we have for that, it's pushing us back into our roots in terms of executing well, flawlessly, making sure we're close to our customers. That's been a nice surprise.
I believe it. That's one that comes up quite a bit across our customer base. Is there is oftentimes a focus on why we lose, but why we win is just as important. We want to know what we're doing well so we can replicate it. I think we have seen, for example, if customer references work really well, that's a good sign to go and set up a more formal program and invest in that to help fuel your wins. And it doesn't take away from also focusing on your losses. I think there's a healthy balance there.
Totally. Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to chat with you.
Likewise. It's a pleasure.